Hi. Greetings from Wisdom Lord Raphael. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification icon and don't miss any contents. This is the light novel of that time I got reincarnated as a slime. If you haven't watched previous video, I will leave the link on the description box, or you can click here. Let's start. This is Tensura Light Novel Volume 16. Tensura Light Novel. Volume 16. The End of the Game. Chapter 2. Interviews. Executive's Evolutionary Status. Part 1. While I waited for the next interviewer to arrive, I began thinking about skills. Based on the information I had gained from the recent Evolution Festival and the battles with the powerful people of the Empire, a question had arisen in my mind. Skills are based on the roots of the laws of this world, the power rooted in the soul. It could be granted by the voice of the world after repeated practice or great achievements. It was a strange phenomenon that I hadn't really thought about much until now. That's how I had always went about it, but in the course of events that had taken place, it had become a question that I could not ignore. In other words, what is the essence of a skill? That was the question. When I first came to this world, I possessed unique skill. Or rather, I had been hearing voice of the world while I was dying in the other world. From that fact, it can be inferred that a skill is not unique to this world alone. If that was the case, then that would make the question even more difficult to answer, and to be honest, I couldn't help but wonder if there were people who could use skills in my original world. Originally, a unique skill was thought to be something only heroes could acquire. As the word unique implied, the performance of these skills varied from one person to another, and they were very powerful. In my case, I had acquired Predator and Great Sage, but I didn't wish for Great Sage, which was a funny story. Impolite. I am here because I was wanted by Rimuru-sama. Yes. Just because I'm a virgin. No, I'll stop thinking about it. If that's what CL said, then it must be that such a desire existed deep in my psyche. That was somewhat of a dangerous topic to dig deeper into, so let's just leave it at that. Okay, back to the topic at hand. This means that although skills are rooted in the soul, there are cases where they are not. Skills acquired at the limit of physical training may be engraved on the body, not the soul. This is especially true for skills acquired from monsters, often acquired simply by eating them. Such skills are called race intrinsic skills. Each race of the same kind had its own intrinsic skill, which could be passed on to future generations. Skills acquired through training often only reach the level of extra skills. Actually, magic was also a kind of skill. This is proven by the fact that I was able to learn it by eating. As you can see, there are many kinds of skills, but the most important are the unique skills. A unique skill is a unique ability created by the individual. Naturally, each of them has different performance. In some cases, they are reproduced over time, but that is a special exception. That is the case with the unique skill starved of an orc lord. It is an intrinsic skill that is inherited by the awakened race, and it is inherited only by blood relatives. Since this starved skill is engraved in the body, it seems to be a skill that could not originally be handled by people of other races. In my case, I immediately merged it with Predator, so I just never paid attention to it until now. Somehow, I think that the skills engraved in the soul are more powerful. Diablo had defeated Jiwoo and Bernie, the ultimate skill holders, but originally, this should have been impossible. Unique skills cannot be used against ultimate skills. Only ultimate skills can be used against ultimate skills. There were exceptions like Chloe's Infinite Prison and Absolute Severance, and Masayuki's Chosen One, but it was impossible to defeat an ultimate skill holder at the unique skill level. Even with unique skills, there was a big difference in strength, but when it came to ultimate skills, the difference was as great as heaven and earth. Those who acquired an ultimate skill understood the reasoning of the world. Only ultimate spells, such as Disintegration or Primordial spells, the most powerful spells in the sacred system, could resist this. So, it is also possible that Diablo defeated them with ultimate magic, but it didn't seem that way. In his case, he might be able to anything just by forcing it. To sum up, here are my thoughts. Skills can be engraved in the soul as well as in the flesh, body. Based on my experience so far, it seems that unique skills can be obtained by a strong desire or craving. It's not so much of a talent as it is an aptitude. No matter how much you wish for it, you cannot obtain it unless your existence value is high enough. It is not something that can be obtained just by wishing for it, but can only be obtained by clearing various trials and conditions. The power one acquires is stronger than the power given to you by others. Furthermore, it seems that the powers that come from the soul are more powerful than ones that come from the body. Next, there are no identical skills. Even if a skill has the same name, its performance and laws are probably different. It is a desire translated into form, so there will be many differences depending on the owner's state of mind. Next, the difference between unique skills and ultimate skills are not absolute. The strength of an acquired skill is easily affected by the owner's ego. A strong will is needed to make it more effective. A skill is the power to influence the laws of the world simply by wishing for it. I originally had Wisdom King Raphael San telling me how to use them correctly, but that was not usually the case. Even if it was a skill created by your own desire, there may be cases where one would be unable to utilize it due to a mistake in usage. Fufufu, in a recent example, Dino made an interesting mistake. Huh? I couldn't help but ask out like that, so CL felt amused and began to talk about it. Dinos Skills, as stated before, evolved during the battle. Sloth, the most power of the deadly sin unique skills, became the ultimate skill Sloth King Belphegor. It was originally said to be a skill that could exert terrifying power. And yet, it had been completely defeated by Zijin. Of course, one of the reasons was that Zijin was overwhelmingly strong, but the more fundamental problem was that Dino had not been able to fully utilize Sloth King Belphegor. He probably didn't understand it properly because he was using this skill as a disguise. The ultimate skill Sloth King Belphegor, which was created by Dino's lazy nature, had the characteristic that the more he moved, the weaker he became. Therefore, the original use of this skill was to support subordinates and companions. The ability to lend the power that Dino had accumulated to his friends. If he had used it in that way, then only then would the Sloth King Belphegor have shown its true value. Although it had happened while we were away, the battle records, archives, of the labyrinth were full of images. It was CL's hobby to analyze them, so it told me about them in this way. D would not have made such a mistake. He would understand the nature of the skill and use it correctly. However, a lazy person like Dino seemed to have been misled by the surface of the skill and never realized its essence. Or rather, it was the enemy's mistake to make Dino work in the first place. If Dino had slacked off as usual and let his friends Pico and Gracia do the work, Geld and Kumara might have been in trouble. Anyway, as you can see, it is not easy to correctly understand one's skills. That's right. Please take better care of me and face me properly. Somehow, I felt misinterpreted, but I stopped thinking about it. Just as I was finishing my thoughts, there was a knock on the door of my room. It was Benimaru who came in, escorted by Shuna. You wanted to see me? I heard this was a private meeting. What did you want to ask me? As soon as he sat down on the sofa facing me, Benimaru asked me. He seemed to think that this an important private meeting, but unfortunately, it wasn't. I'm sorry, this was just on a whim. On a whim? Yeah. This war has greatly increased everyone's strengths, hasn't it? We see and also measure their presences in the labyrinth, so I thought I should get a good idea of everyone's strength. I see, that's really important. Benimaru's expression brightened as he heard my explanation. Apparently, he had been preparing himself to be questioned about his newlywed life. Well, I am curious about that, but wouldn't it be power harassment and sexual harassment to ask about it? Is that so? That guy Sowi actually said, if you were able to evolve smoothly, then you only did what you had to do. You're so late in life that I thought I would have to help you. Just as Benimaru said that. Brother. Shuna, who was bringing in cake, interrupted him with a smile. The crushing force was so intense it sent chills down the spine. What are you talking so rudely about in front of Rimuru-sama? So, sorry. I'm sorry. Even the hardcore Benimaru was no match for Shuna. Rimuru-sama as well. You should have scolded him instead of just going along with my brother's foolish talk. Yes, that's right. I'll be careful. This is the kind of thing that one can't go against. I understood that deeply and waited for Shuna to get in a good mood. I was so nervous that I could not taste the cake. The moment Shuna left the room to take away the tray, Benimaru and I let out a big sigh. Phew, that was a failure, wasn't it? Yeah. Next time you talk like that, you should think about the time and place. Understood. I originally wanted to say that I didn't want to talk about it, so I don't know how it turned out this way. Well, that's right. I'm sure it happens, but to me, it just sounds like you're showing off. Well, let's talk about that later. For now, I decided to check Benimaru's status as planned. Name. Benimaru. Existence point. 4,397,788. Plus, Red Lotus. 1.14 million. Race. Divine Oni. Greater Chaos Spirit. Flame Spirit Oni. Blessing. Rimuru's Blessing. Title. Flare Lord. Magic. Flame Spirit Magic. Skill. Ultimate Skill. Heat King Amaterasu. Resistance. Physical Attack Nullification, Natural Effects Nullification, Abnormal Condition Nullification, Mental Attack Resistance, Holy Demonic Attack Resistance. It was like this. I mean, that's so strong. After sacrificing the unique skill Generalissimo, he acquired the ultimate skill Heat King Amaterasu. Its powers included thought acceleration, universal perception, demon lord Haki, will control, light and heat domination, spatial domination, multi-layer barrier, and so on. According to Seal's statement, his skills even reflected a portion of Velgrin's powers. However, Benimaru had practically obtained the ultimate skill by his own power alone. Seal told me that it had only helped him a little. But still, Benimaru's own existence value is over 4 million, and it increases by over 1 million when he possesses Red Lotus. Isn't that more than luminous? By the way, there is no way to cheat the existence value probably. To be more precise, the existence value of a person in the labyrinth can be measured with a great deal of accuracy. If one wanted to cheat, they would have to have a mythical grade weapon hidden or a split body in another place like Velgrind. For example, at the level of clone the value of the split body would be so small that it could easily be detected as an imposter. Outside the labyrinth, one could cheat all they wanted, but entering the labyrinth was like soaking one's head in a full hot spring. They could not escape Ramras's appraisal. Ramras is very talented in this aspect, but she also has her regrettable aspects. In short, she does not understand what she can or cannot do. There was just one thing I couldn't stop thinking about. I thought that monsters were supposed to get weaker after having children. That's true. Generally speaking, they lose a large amount of magicules. Then how did you get so strong? Ahahaha, that's a mystery. Ah, what a refreshing smile. But trying to fake a smile isn't going to cut it. What the hell is going on here? I don't know either. Sowi was also pestering me about it, asking how I did it. Oh, so I wasn't the only one who was curious. Well, it would be good news for the monsters if this question is answered. Many of the hobgoblins are married, but I haven't heard of any problems about them suffering from weakening. But the higher up in the hierarchy the monsters affected were, the greater the impact would be, so this was something that I hoped would be resolved someday. Let me know if you find out anything. Got it. Then, I'll switch with Sowi now. Leaving that one question unanswered, the interview with Benimaru ended. Benimaru was replaced by Sowi, who entered the room. As soon as we sat down facing one another, I complained to Sowi. You shouldn't make too much fun of Benimaru, you know. Heh, that guy's always been a late bloomer in strange places. I just thought that if I didn't give him a good talking to, he'd probably stay in the dark forever. Whoa, that's a good point. After all, Benimaru had said that there was no way to evolve without a successor, and it was understandable that Sowi would be worried. Well, let's leave it at that. Now, about your evolutionary status. Sowi was influenced by Benimaru's evolution. Name. Sowi. Existence point. 1,281,162. Race. Divine Oni. Fair Chaos. Spirit. Dark Spirit Oni. Blessing. Flare Lord's Shadow. Title. Dark Shinobi. Magic. Dark Spirit Magic. Skill. Ultimate Gift, Moon King, Tsukuyomi. Resistance. Physical attack nullification, natural effects nullification, abnormal condition nullification, mental attack nullification. Very strong. And his resistances are amazing. In order to defeat Sowi, you can only use the Holy Demon attribute, Holy Sword techniques, or some kind of ultimate type of attack. As for Sowi's skill, it is the ultimate gift Moon King Tsukuyomi given by Seal. Its powers are diverse and include thought acceleration, universal perception, eye of the moon, insta-kill, ultra speed, mental manipulation, parallel existence, spatial manipulation, and multi-layer barrier. Hold on. You can even use parallel existence now. I was so surprised that I couldn't help but ask, to which Sowi replied flatly. Yes. It's not possible to use more than one at the same time, like Velgrin-sama, but I am proud to say that just one is useful enough. That, indeed, is something to be proud of. One alone is enough. With this, even Sowi is infinitely close to being indestructible however, perhaps the most noteworthy is the Eye of the Moon. It was an ability that allowed one to manipulate shadows at will, so they could do various things without your opponent even knowing you're there. It was characterized by its wide range, to the point that a whole town could be put under its influence. In addition to being specialized in gathering information, this ability could also be used for assassination. Sowi's skill is my masterpiece. In order to recreate the ninja from Master's memory, I tried to cram in as much as Sowi wanted. I had thought it was a lot of stuff, but I guess that was the reason why. The great thing about Eye of the Moon is that it can also be used by a clone. If Sowi dispatches clones to various places and uses Eye of the Moon to share information from all over the world can be available through telepathy net. I can see why you are very proud of your work. The more I heard about it, the more I realized how powerful it was. In other words, this was like a superior version of my surveillance spell Argus. He could now monitor situations around the world and visualize them with sound. He had become a versatile and dependable man. In the future, I would continue to entrust Sowi with all of our country's intelligence activities. Alright. I'm giving you the new title of Darkness, so please continue to lead the dark shadows in the service of our nation. Haha. All actions are for the sake of Rimuru-sama. Not for me, but for our country, forget it. Well then, I'm counting on you. I said so, and then thanked Sowi. After that, I spoke with Sowi for about an hour, asking him if he had any complaints or about how Sokka and the others were doing. He told me that the existence value of the 5 members had grown to nearly 200,000, while Sokka herself had an existence value of 261,898, which was quite high. She was at the level of a former Demon Lord's lieutenant and could even fight with the upper ranks. This battle seemed to have greatly enhanced her abilities. Combat was the best training, as I had heard Sowi say. However, one thing to be aware of was that just because you can do it does not mean that others can do it as well. Everyone has their own personality and their own unique strengths and weaknesses. Sowi was indeed very capable, but I hoped that he would not force the same number of expectations on his subordinates. Doing that could cause even the best of people to lose their motivation. Isn't it only natural to do everything in our power for Rimuru-sama? Well, that's not natural. Don't you see? If you only think like that, then no one will be able to follow you. It is your role as a supervisor to take better care of your subordinates so that they can effectively enjoy their work for a long time, right? After all, people will only follow you if you give them something worth doing. Of course, it's still work, so just being fun isn't enough. Even so, I still think that a sense of accomplishment is important. If the workload is always unreasonable, then you won't be able to feel the joy of a sense of accomplishment. In addition, if you are given a large amount of work right after pushing yourself to complete your last load. If it were me, I'm pretty sure I would be upset. You might say something like, you do it, but in Sowi's case, he was always able to get it done. If that happened, one would have no choice but to blame themselves, and as a result, they might become mentally or even physically ill. That's what I was worried about. I see. So you're saying that I must use my tools with more care, right? Stop calling your companions as tools. It's truly important to keep glory in one's work, but it should not be forced on you. If you, as a superior, can show recognition in your subordinates' work, then they will feel very happy. I see. Indeed, I myself regard Rimuru-sama's praise as the greatest joy. Should I say that he's too serious or too heavy? Anyway, why don't you also take this opportunity to have a gathering with your subordinates? I understand. It is my responsibility as their superior to understand their feelings, so I will make sure to take care of them more thoroughly in the future. Remember to do things in moderation. Anyway, for the time being, I told him what I was thinking. After that, I received a letter of thanks from Sokka and the others. The letter was stained with tears of joy, and I felt satisfied that I had done a good thing. That's all for today, hope you guys enjoy it. Please check my other videos. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and hit the notification icon. And don't miss any updates. Thank you for watching.